Oh, hi there, and welcome to another episode of No Prep, No Problem. I'm Matthew Harry. I'm also here with Scott and Daniel, and
Hello.
the three of us will be doing another
Hello.
episode today. And as far as what today's topic is, I just simply cannot make up my mind. So, I just happen to have a chance cube here. I'm being Watto from Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And I have written down my top 6 topics that I would like to have us do today. So I'm going to roll the dice. We're going to see what the dice says today's topic is.
Perfect.
1. What is 1 on the list?
No-
I don't even
no
know.
way it was
I didn't
1.
look.
Apparently this month,
All right.
they're releasing the third Star Wars movie in theaters again.
It's
Milking it, dude.
so funny that you said that, because
God.
number 1 on my list of the numbers of all the different things that I wanted to talk about is my favorite thing in life. Movie.
Nice.
Okay.
Daniel, number 1 favorite movie of all time. Go!
I can't talk about it.
Oh, that's a great movie. Who stars in it?
I can't talk about it.
Okay. We'll come back to you in a second. Scott, what's your number 1 favorite movie of all time?
I really loved The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Oh my gosh. Dude, it was one of the funniest things I've ever watched. That and Pineapple Express. I love those
Okay.
movies. Gosh, they were so good. Those like Seth Rogen movies, I loved them, dude.
Based on a previous episode, you said that you had a lot of shows that you liked, like Family Guy and South Park and things. So you say you like a lot of just like funny humor, just humor in general, crude humor. Like what kinds of humor specifically, I guess, do you most enjoy?
Yeah. Big comedy guy. Also a big horror guy. I'll talk more about that too. But yeah, I'd say crude humor. Yeah, Family Guy, American Dad, that kind of stuff. Probably why I like 40-Year-Old Virgin. Hilarious.
So is
Steve
40-Year-Old
Carell was
Virgin
very funny.
Steve Carell is very funny.
Yeah,
I
great.
love him in lots of movies. Get Smart, Date Night. He was in
Date Night was good. Yes.
Date Night is very good. Daniel, have you seen Date Night?
I'm not familiar with that one by name, but like
I'm not gonna say any spoilers really, but just there's a scene in the movie where 2 cars get jammed into each other, and the one car is driving backwards, pulling the car going frontwards, and they have to work together to drive the 2 cars. It's hilarious.
I have
Um,
not seen the Steve Carell movie, but I have heard about it because it has that
it's
chick whose name I'm
Tina,
blanking on. Tina Fey.
Tina Fey. Yep.
Yep, Tina Fey. So Scott, so you say that Pineapple Express and 40-Year-Old Virgin are your favorite movies if you were to talk about comedy. What would you say your favorite movies would be in the horror genre, since you say that's like the other one that you really like?
Yes. I'm a big fan of Jason. Friday the 13th was great. Jason Voorhees, love him. I remember watching it as a kid, like the original ones as a kid, and just being terrified. And then it was just like, and I think that's a big thing with people that enjoy horror. It's just like it's exhilarating, like watching that stuff and being scared. You know what I mean? It's like scare. Like I don't like being scared, but like I enjoy watching that stuff, and it's I think it's kind of a controlled thing where it's like, okay, well, let's watch this and get scared for a little bit, and then it's just next thing you know, you're just watching more and more of them. I used to, I wasn't really big into them as a kid, but then when I was a kid, I did check out Jason, and then started watching a little bit more and more and more until now. Like, yeah, I'm a fan.
So
Wait,
does that mean
so-
that you like Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
No.
Oh, have you seen that movie?
No.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Okay, that's a weird one.
It's a
what was it
horror.
called?
It's a comedy horror movie. Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Okay. Interesting. Wait, Scott, what you just said though that didn't make sense. I was jotting down my notes, but while I was doing that, my brain heard you say I don't really like being scared, but I love watching those kind of movies. What?
Well, meaning like I don't like being scared in the sense of like regular real life, kind of stuff. But I think with the horror movies, it's kind of that controlled environment to where it's like, all right, I'm going to start this movie and I know I'm going to be scared, but I can always like stop it if I want to. So I'm not saying I want to be scared like someone holding a gun to my head or anything like that, but
Because you know that the monster isn't just going to come crawling out of the TV and try to attack you in real life.
odds of that happening pretty low, probably
But
not.
like if I
But
was standing
I'm not going to
behind
rule it
you
out.
right now all this time and you didn't know it, and then I just like scare you, and like in real life you don't like that.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Okay.
And I think that's why, I like horror movies, and stuff because I can, it's that little time where I'm like, okay, well, I can watch this. It's almost kind of like when you ride a roller coaster, it's terrifying, dude. But then when you're done, it's like, wow, that was fun. So I think it's like that. But yeah, big into like the classics like slasher films and so big into Jason. Watched a little bit of Freddy, like Nightmare on Elm
Elm Street.
Street.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool. So yeah, those old school ones, and then some of the new ones have gotten um, crazy too. Like in a previous episode, I was telling you guys about The Visit. That was insane. I like these like different story like horror movies, and now it's to the point where I watch quite a bit of horror video games too for that same reason. So it's a very interesting genre, I would say. So
So, how did you feel about the Halloween movies? Jamie Lee Curtis?
yeah, those were good. Yeah, I watched some of those too. Yeah, I can't even believe I forgot to say
I didn't know she was in
Michael
those.
Myers. Those
She
were
was
those were good ones.
wasn't she the main character? I'm thinking that is the right movie, right? Halloween with
Yeah,
that was
she
Jamie Lee
yeah, she
Curtis?
was yeah, she was
Okay.
I believe she was the sister of Michael, right?
Something like that. And I know that
You know,
there was a 20-year later, it was like H2O is what they kept calling it.
Yeah, exactly. I saw that in when that came out when I was a kid. I gotta go back and watch all these things, but yeah,
hey,
Michael Myers is up there too. I preferred Jason, I guess, because I saw Jason first,
Hmm.
but they're so similar,
They
like
are. They're both
it's
unkillable, beings for some reason.
right, and they came out around the same time, and it was the same kind of vibe. They wear these masks and they go around slashing people. I know that like one was due to negligence at Camp Crystal Lake,
Hmm.
for Jason. You know what I mean, that kind of thing. He died there. And then the other one was with Michael Myers. I didn't watch as much of, but I've definitely seen some. I think with that, it was like something involving his sister. And then he ended up like snapping, whatever. So I'll have to go back and check those out. But yeah, I would say those are like the three like most iconic like
okay.
horror characters: Jason, Michael, Freddy. Um, I remember watching it when I was a kid, like the OG
Oh, the OG It was
one
so
on
good.
Sci-Fi.
It's
Dude, it was so scary. Holy crap, it was scary.
So we actually had the VHS
Oh
of it.
wow.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun watching that.
Yeah, dude, that
that is
was
really funny.
Oh,
I
have you ever seen Rose Red?
love the VHS
intense.
reference.
No?
No.
Do you know what Rose Red is? It's another Stephen
Was
King.
that yeah, yeah, I didn't watch that.
The premise is that it's a house that is the house is alive and people keep building the house, but nobody
Oh
lives
yes,
there.
but nobody lives there, right? Yes.
What movie is that?
It's called Rose Red. It's
I
another
don't know that
Stephen
one.
King. Dude, all of Stephen King films are just fantastic. Like they're a little hokey. Like Cujo was hokey. So was Pet Cemetery. But like,
Yeah, but they're terrifying.
oh god, yeah. Just thinking about it is scary.
You
Well,
know
what was
what's
scary about Cujo was that could really happen. Like, it was just a badass dog, dude, you
Mhm.
know?
Oh,
Yeah.
and
Oh, Cujo the dog that's like
yep.
eats people.
Yep.
See, I've never seen it, but I only know the reference from Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. They actually reference it in the movie.
Mm.
Nice.
Now, what
They
about
show part of it in the movie.
what about Alfred Hitchcock movies? Have you seen any of those? Like Birds
No, I
or
haven't.
Bates Motel?
Um,
That wasn't the original. Bates Motel was the spin-off TV show that it did, but what was the original one
Psycho.
called? Psycho. Yes, thank you.
Yes, I did see Psycho as a kid. Yeah, and then they did
Okay,
the spin-off of Bates
funny
Motel.
thing, is Psycho the one what's like the super old one? What's the name of the movie? The super old movie from like the 30s, 40s, or whatever, black and white film with the lady in the shower and the guy
Yep,
with the
that's
knife
Psycho.
in the
Yeah,
shower.
that's
Yeah,
Psycho.
Psycho.
Yeah.
You know what's hilarious? And I love when we do the whole circling back to everything. Jamie Lee Curtis, her mother was the lady getting slashed in Psycho in the movie.
I feel like I
Really?
did hear that.
Because
Yeah.
because yes, because her mom came from Hollywood, and that's how Jamie Lee Curtis became in Hollywood, was because her mom was an actress, and that's yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis's mom is the blonde-haired lady in who gets attacked in the second movie in the shower.
Yeah, her name
That
is
scene is her
Jeanette
mom.
Lee.
Okay.
There you
Interesting.
go.
I did
Well,
Wow.
not know that. How did
see,
you
I
know that?
love because movies are my life. Let me say something real quick here. Why I have movies on my list to begin with. Movies are my life. And out of my list of my top 10 favorite things in life, number one on my list is movies. I love movies. I love that you can just tell stories through this media format of movies where it's like, a 2 hour movie and boom, I got the story. It doesn't necessarily need to be a television show with 8 series and it's 20, 45-minute episodes. My goodness, that takes forever to get through. A nice, concise 2 hour movie, and boom, I love the story, and I love just everything about movies, the music, the acting. I love it. I love movies. And so for me, my entire life, I have watched every behind the scenes, everything of every movie I've ever watched, loved, seen. I've seen so much behind the scenes stuff at this point. So I believe it was Freaky Friday with Lindsay Lohan, Jamie Lee Curtis, where I watched the
Yeah.
behind the scenes, and she had spoken about how she got into the acting and movie industry that her mom was in when the Psycho in the scene in the movie. And, that's how I know that. And I have all kinds of
Oh, really?
little
Wow.
tidbits of movie nuggets of little knowledge about how the movies were made. And I love how movies are made, especially in the older days. Today, yes, we've got the fancy volume studios and it's all fancy, but most of what we do today is all CGI, whereas we used to have it be a whole lot more practical. But yeah, I just love movies and know a lot about movies.
Dude, practical effects are so much better. When
So
movies
much better.
today do practical effects versus all of the CGI stuff, that movie is just so much better, but it's so much more expensive.
Yeah, it's more expensive, but it is more rewarding. For example, Ghostbusters Afterlife, a lot of it was very practical as far as effects wise goes. Another movie that comes to mind is Zathura. I don't know if you all have ever seen that movie. It's like a kids sci-fi movie. Zathura.
Well, that was the board
They
game
did
one,
that
right?
movie
Kinda like
almost all.
Jumanji?
Yep, the board game. Yeah, so Zathura was another one that they did almost all of it practical effects. But I would always, if I were to make a movie, I would do as much practical effects as possible, as little CG as possible, and as much on film location as possible. I know that's not
Ooh,
100% possible.
here's a bit of trivia for you.
Okay.
The original Jurassic Park, before they
Yes.
decided to do CGI, do you know what they were gonna use for the dinosaurs?
Animatronics,
Nope.
which is what? No.
They were gonna
Okay.
do stop motion. So
Oh,
they had originally made stop motion had just advanced to a new development.
yeah.
Stop motion is really old, but they just increased the technology by having the camera set up the way they did, and they could shoot so many more frames of the individual
Like per second or whatever.
marionettes, and they could do so much more with them. They could make it more fluid. But even with how the technology had advanced, it still didn't look as good at the time as the CGI did for the dinosaurs. So when whoever, director, producer, whatever, was given the two options, and he was able to look at both the CGI dinosaur and the claymation dinosaur that they had, he's like, that one still looks like something from like the 40s where it's like, the old style animation. He's like, I want to
Yeah.
look cutting edge. And also, they put in so much more time and energy and effort into figuring out how to make the dinosaurs look good. Like literally, the texture on the dinosaurs for one of them is a styrofoam cup that they put like coffee and like grass stains on, and that's how they got the actual texture for one of the dinosaurs. I don't remember which one it is exactly. I think it was the Brontosaurus. But it's insane that that's what they had to do to figure out how to get the right texture to make the dinosaurs look real.
That's
And
Yeah.
if you go
insane.
back,
Yeah.
it holds up today. If you go back and watch the original Jurassic Park, it's like looking back on it, it's a little hokey, but like it's still compared to like some stuff I've seen get released recently, it looks amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I love the fact that for the movie, not only do they have CGI dinosaurs, I mean they also did have animatronic dinosaurs,
Mhm.
and they said that it was a great challenge for the Tyrannosaurus Rex scene because they did have a practical animatronic dinosaur head or whatever. It's like the front half of the body and the head and the arms, and they had to do that opening scene where we first see it, where it's in the rain scene and it's destroying the Jeep and all that. But like it's a machine and it would get wet, and they had to stop filming and they had to take all these towels and they had to dry it off. And the dinosaur would actually shiver. It was quite funny. It would actually
Dude,
like
the
shiver,
raptor
and they
suits.
had to clean it.
Did you ever see the behind the scenes where they had the raptor suits?
The
Like,
raptor
No.
suit.
yeah, the Velociraptors were actual like people inside of a marionette of themselves. Like they'd sit there, they'd have to like move their arm forward and come back, and like they were the raptor. It was
Really?
so cool. Like you can go
Yeah.
and still look at that behind the scenes now, and it's like, all right, so they actually legitimately had people walking around like dinosaurs, and it's like I remember doing that when I was a kid, and someone got paid to do that as an adult.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. What's the best thing to pay someone to do something for in the movie industry? Dress yourself up in 100 little dots all over your body, and then do a motion capture thing and have it capture your motions
Pretend to
to
be a
be
dinosaur.
to be a CGI. You can be a dinosaur, or you can be the precious.
Nice. That was
Oh,
spot on.
Yeah.
That was good.
You know what's funny? So I'm an impressionist and I can do many impressions. And one of my best ones is Gollum Smeagol from Lord of the Rings. But what's funny is another reason why movies are my life. I will be at the cash register. I work at a store where I have to be on a cash register. And so I will be at the register and I ask people all the times, "Oh, what are you up to today?" And they always say, like sometimes people will say, "Oh, we're going to go out and see a new movie." And I always say intuitively without thinking, I go, movies are my life. What's the movie? Because not only do I love movies and I've watched all these kind of movies and I've seen every behind the scenes, everything about movies. I was a movie soundtracks radio DJ for a year at a local radio station. And also, I've been cashiering customer service for 18 years at this point. And my first job ever was at the movie theaters. And what happened was Pirates of the Caribbean 1, Curse of the Black Pearl came out. Daniel will remember this.
oh yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean 1 came out, Curse of the Black Pearl, in 2001 or 3, I believe. 2003. And so the movie came out, and I found out that I could do the Captain Jack Sparrow impression perfectly. So then when the second movie came out in 2006, I went to a creative costume shop, rented the full Captain Jack Sparrow costume, then went in full costume into the theater and talked to the managers and was like, "Oh yes, I'm Captain Jack Sparrow, mate. And if you hire me and you pay me with a whole bunch of movie tickets, then I can just stand outside and be like your advertisement for like, come on in, see the new Pirates movie." And that's what I did. And so for a whole weekend, I worked at 2 different movie theaters, and I got paid like something like 45 movie tickets between the 2 theaters for all these free tickets. And I treated all my friends to all these free movies because I did Captain Jack Sparrow for the weekend, for a 2-day weekend. And I did so well, I also made the local paper.
Yeah, he did.
And I still have original copies of the article and digital copies as well.
That's awesome.
of the articles. And so I made the paper, I did all the movies, and then what happened was like a month and a half went by, and they lost 5 people within a week. And they call me and they're like, "Hey, that Captain Jack Sparrow guy, he was out there for 8 hours and he didn't even take a break. He was so in his whatever, in his zone. We should call him up." So they call me up and they offer me a job, and that's how I got my first job working at the movie theaters, was Captain Jack Sparrow.
Wow, that's impressive, dude. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Now, that is one of the best movie franchises, of
Oh,
course.
absolutely. Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, oh, yeah. I mean, my number one favorite movie of all time. Well, no, I want to spin back to yours, Daniel, in a second, because I actually want to say something on yours.
But I can't talk about it.
But I know we can't talk about it, but there's another one that I want to talk about with you in just a second.
Okay.
Okay. So, my number one favorite movie of all time, hands down, without argument, for all time, forever, The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King is a masterpiece of masterpieces. And I will say that, like, for me, I have this very special rating I give certain things in my life, or just in life in general, call my A++ grade rating. Now, for something to have an A++ grade rating for me, you have to go so far above and beyond an A+, that's like, you are just like next level, fifth dimension level of awesome. So Lord of the Rings: Return of the King gets an A++ grade rating for the best movie of all time. Metroid Prime, A++ grade rating, best video game, and I think I gave Stranger Things an A++. It might just be an A+ though right now. But anyway, Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, my favorite movie of all time. And we discussed yours, Scott. Now, Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong. You can always edit this out if you want. But correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Clue 1985 your number one favorite movie of all time?
No, that's on the list though.
It's on the list.
Yeah.
But it's on the list. Okay, talk to me about that and your favorite actor of all time who's in that movie, and why you like that movie so much. Because you like it because of the different endings or whatever?
God, yes. So Tim Curry
Yes, Tim.
is
Tim.
is the butler in the Clue movie.
His butler.
But depending on which movie theater you went to, he might not have been the butler. Because Clue, they did this really crazy thing where they did have several different endings for it, and they sent out different endings to different theaters. So when people like walked out of the theater, they're like, "Oh, that's such a great movie." And they would go and talk to their friends about it, and they'd be like, "Wait, that's not how it ended." And it created so much confusion. It was amazing. And if you go
Oh
and you
my
actually sit
God.
down, yeah, if you go and actually watch the movie now, it goes,
Wait, he's always the butler, but he may or may not be the killer, because it's like a who.
well,
'Cause
that's
it's
the thing
Clue.
though. That's the thing
Like a whodunit.
is that it changes, but also he's the butler, throughout the entire movie. But at the very end, he's not actually the butler. At the end, he's actually a police officer, or he's actually the host, or whatever. And however it actually
Oh,
ends,
okay.
yeah. So like, it's such a great film. But at the very end, they do show all the different endings that they did, and they're like, they do little cards in between. They're like, how it ends, like that's how it ended. They're like, but this is how it actually ends. But this is how it really ended. So like they actually showed all the different endings at the very end of the movie, and it was just chef's kiss, mwah, perfect. It was
How many endings were there?
I don't
Isn't
remember.
there
I
like
think there was like 4 or 5.
5? It was
Wow.
5. Because I first watched it with you, and we watched it, and yeah, the movie does do an ending, but then it does go through all the different endings, and it keeps rewinding to the same like coda, like in a song, and it keeps rewinding to the same interval of the movie, but then carries out a completely different ending to the movie.
It says 3 different endings. I thought it was 5.
3 different endings. Okay.
But there
So
was
3
actually a
different endings.
4th ending that was scrapped apparently.
Sounds to me like a lost episode.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the ultimate troll back in the day.
So
Like,
this
that's
says,
crazy.
yeah. So this says that the movie's theatrical run used a lettered system of A, B, or C to indicate which ending was playing at each theater. So if they had Clue A, Clue B, Clue C, they had the different endings, and that is just it. Oh, it is such a good movie. I love that movie.
See,
You're
I
not
love
wrong.
the ingeniousness. I love the ingeniousness of unique ways to present your media. I think that's a great way to
Well,
present your
and
movie.
exactly what you said. It tells an entire complete story, all in the hour and a half or whatever that it was.
Yeah.
Right? They had several different endings that they did this amazing thing with everyone in the world who went to the theater to see it. And they're like, oh, it could be this ending or this ending or this ending, and nobody knew what the real ending was until you
That's
actually
awesome.
watched like a at home or on TV release that said this is what really happened, and then that was like the official ending. But also, as you said earlier, it's all practical effects. It didn't use any CGI, but that's because like back then, like that, yes, CGI was a thing, but it wasn't a big thing, and it didn't need to be for that movie.
Yeah. Because, like, my youngest brother used to have a phrase that we used to use CGI to tell a story, but now in later years, now we just use a story to tell CGI. And I miss the old days where CGI is only supposed to be a tool to make up for the little corners of your movie that you can't do. That you can still use CGI effectively if you use it effectively. If you're using it lazily, just to throw some epic whatever thing in your background of your movie to make it good or whatever, like it's not as good. Like to me, one of the reasons why Ghostbusters Afterlife is my number one. I mean, it's one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. Is it does have an A plus plus grade rating in the movie for they. I will not reveal anything about the movie who hasn't seen it, but they literally do a CGI full animation of like a ghost, and they do it so absolutely beautifully. Where they do a ghost animation of a character that's played by an actor who is no longer with us. So they did it masterfully.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I
you can use it.
still can't talk about my favorite movie.
Okay, well, see, here's the okay. Well, then we'll jump to this real quick. Um, one of my other favorite movies is Star Wars. My favorite Star Wars movie is Star Wars Episode One: Phantom Menace. And I know there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there. I can already see the comments
Yep.
trolling now
Yep.
of how can Phantom Menace be your favorite Star Wars movie of all time?
It was the first one
Here's
you
why.
saw, right?
No.
Oh,
I loved it because it came out in this very unique, like 5 to 7 year window where it was a beautiful mixture of both practical effects and CGI. Think about it. You had practical characters like puppets and things for Yoda and stuff, but you also had CG characters like Sebulba. You had matte paintings for the backgrounds, you had CGI backgrounds for the backgrounds. So it was this beautiful painted mixture of both practical and CGI stuff. Everything before Star Wars Episode 1 Phantom Menace, like movies wise, pretty much all practical effects. Everything after that 5 to 7 year window where that movie came out is pretty much all CGI. And I love the movie because it's made in that very rare window where we polymerized both together beautifully.
Now, did that movie come out was that 99, 2000, some
99. I believe it's
99?
99. Yeah.
Okay, that is so I was never a big Star Wars fan just because it was me. I didn't really give myself enough. I didn't get into it enough. I didn't give it enough of a try. I can, the little bit I've seen, I can see why people like it, love it, whatever. Like, it's awesome. It is very cool. So, again, I blame myself for not giving it more of a try. But I remember for that movie, I was in, I believe, fifth grade at the time, and one of the kids in class had a big party, and we all went to see that movie for his birthday. So there was like, you know, I mean, it wasn't the entire class, but there was like a fair
I
amount
also
of us
saw it
that
at the
went.
birthday. Yeah, that's funny.
And it was awesome. And that's one of, I can't remember all the Star Wars I've seen in my life. It's probably only two or three, but that was one of them. And I enjoyed it. I liked it. Again, I'm 10 years old at the time, but yeah, all the Star Wars fans are probably gonna troll
But
for
here's the
that
thing.
one.
Here's the thing. It's not just my favorite Star Wars movie because of the way that the movie was made. I mean, my favorite Jedi is Qui-Gon Jinn, and it's the only movie with Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah,
My favorite thing in the Star Wars universe is pod racing, and it's the only movie that has pod racing. This
that
includes
was
all
cool.
of the new shows, The Mandalorian, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and like Andor, and like all the other Star Wars everything. It's the only thing that has pod racing. And my number one favorite scene in all of the Star Wars franchise is the scene where Sebulba takes the little pod racer part and he goes, "Wah!" and he throws it into the engine of the guy behind him, and the guy behind him goes, "Roar!" crashes
Right.
into the. It's my favorite scene in the franchise.
See,
the first movie.
I'm one of those. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. I actually don't care for the Star Wars movies.
Okay, why?
They're just boring. There's so much bureaucracy, bullcrap that goes on in them, and even the action scenes, like
Yeah.
it's just like I have this laser sword that can cut through anything, but yet I'm gonna get stopped by someone who's shooting a laser gun at me. And also, I can deflect laser bullets and know exactly which way they're going to go every time with my laser sword. I don't know. I get caught up on details like that, and it's just like this doesn't make any sense.
So if you took all the lightsaber scenes out of Star Wars, would you like it better or
No, I still wouldn't care for it that much.
Okay.
And I mean, it's not like they're bad. It's just not my cup of tea. And I do enjoy sci-fi, but I don't know. They're running down a hallway, and all of a sudden, laser doors slam in between them, and then they have to stand there and wait, or sit on the floor and like ponder. And then all of a sudden, the doors all open again, and they run through them all, and then they
Yeah.
die, and it's like, okay, like
Do you like interspace, like two ships shooting at each other, like that kind of stuff? Do you like space battle stuff, like the opening of episode 3? Like, do you like that type of stuff
I mean, it
at
has a
all
kitchen
either? Or
sink in
no?
it, so why not?
You what?
It has a kitchen sink in it, so why not?
It does have a kitchen sink in it, and you get a point for that, sire.
Did you know about this,
Uh,
Scott?
Did you know about this, Scott?
The
Oh,
opening,
yes.
Favorite behind the
Yeah.
scenes. My
Yes.
favorite behind the scenes of any movie is the guy animator went in, his chief of director of animation or whatever, and he's like, "Man,
Yeah.
you've got everything but a kitchen sink in here." And George Lucas is like, "No, wait, put a kitchen sink in there."
We need a
And so
kitchen
the little
sink.
piece that blows up after the mega laser shoots at the thing, it goes,
Yes.
and that it's a kitchen sink.
I
Yep.
think Daniel, you were the one that told me that like fairly recently, like probably
Oh,
within
yeah.
the past like year or
I
something.
wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised. And
I think
even
you
though
told me
like
that. Yeah.
I know about these things, I'm just like it's just to me that the series and maybe it's that it's been so long because I watched it when I was a kid, right? And I started with episode 1. I didn't actually watch 4 through 6 first. I started with episode 1, and then I was like, oh, this is interesting, but it still wasn't like I need to watch this over and over and over again. I know so many people are like, oh, this is my favorite series ever, and they'll sit there and they'll watch A New Hope on like over and over and over again. And just
Yeah.
it doesn't I probably just need to watch them again, but I have a feeling I'm gonna feel exactly the same no matter what. It's just
So okay. So here's the thing. So then, out of like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Pirates, Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, all these really big like series, like what's your favorite like movie series that there's more than one of?
I mean I thoroughly enjoyed Pirates of the Caribbean. And then of course like Harry Potter. I dude, those books were the whole reason I even started reading at all.
Thing.
Because like I didn't read before
Mm.
that. I refused, and my parents were like, "We can't get him to read anything." And that was the first series that I was like, "No, I want to know what happens next." And
Yeah, that was
like,
very.
and the
Yeah.
first 2 movies actually followed the books very well. After that, not as well. The 6th movie was atrocious. They had some
I
of the best.
remember. I remember this. I remember this, Scott. You weren't there, but we saw the 6th movie, and we came out, and I had never. So I read the first 2 books when I was 10 years old. And I also had Harry Potter follow me around my whole life, and my middle name is now Harry because more people in my life knew me as Matt than knew me as Harry knew me as Harry than knew me as Matt because I looked so much exactly like Harry Potter. Maybe I can send Daniel my Harry Potter
Hang on.
comparison photo
So
later and we can
he did
attach
not
it.
look like Daniel Radcliffe. He looked like the images in the book.
In the book, right,
Yes.
right. Okay.
So
Yes,
like you gotta put
correct.
that
Thank you
on there.
for
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for correcting me on that. But yes, I looked more like the drawings on the books than I did Daniel Radcliffe's Harry Potter. But yeah, so I looked very much like Harry Potter. And so so I'd only read the first 2 books. and then the autism kicked in, and I didn't read anymore at that time. But everyone loved seeing Harry Potter movies with me because they're like, man, we get to go see Harry Potter with Harry Potter, because I was just like Harry Potter at school or whatever. So we saw the movie, we came out of it, and I was like, I thought it was a really great movie and all, but everyone else, you and everyone else, was like, it was such a terrible movie because it went way this far away from the book.
I mean, it was just like 2 hours of all the kids trying to hump each other. It was not that bad in the book, and I feel like they overplayed the romances in that movie. Also, it had one of the best like fight scenes. Like the way that the fight scene like was portrayed in the book was so different than what happened in the movie. It was literally like 2 minutes in the movie.
Which fight scene?
The one towards the end of the movie.
Okay, got you. The one towards the end.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But like the Harry Potter series is definitely like up there for me. I also enjoyed the Lord of the Rings, and of course like the Hobbit series. Even though they're like, oh, we're gonna try to make 3 movies out of one book that is smaller than all the Lord of the Rings books, I still enjoyed it. It was, I think, very well done. It did have a lot more CGI in it than I would have wanted, but there's only so much that you can get around with what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not do CGI when you have a fantasy creature like a Balrog
Or a dragon.
versus like or a dragon. Yeah, I mean, are you really going to do a practical effect Smaug? I mean, how would that look on screen?
Awesome.
Could the actor really? I mean, yeah. I mean, I would have loved to have seen that. I don't know, Scott. What's your take on your favorite series?
Yeah, I mean, out of those that we talked about, I'd say Harry Potter I read and watched the most of. Lord of the Rings, I only watched the very first one. I did like it. I thought it was really cool, but dude, the movies were just so long for me. I have trouble. And that's why I don't watch that many movies these days. I have, like, and if I do, like, I pause it and I get up and do something, and I come back. I'm just up and down all over the place. It's tough for me to just sit there for an hour and a half, and in
Between the
some cases
ADHD and the
2.
autism that we all have, yeah, I get it.
It's
Yeah.
tough.
So
It's
wait now,
really tough.
Scott, do you know if you even saw the theatrical or the extended version when you watched it? Because if you're saying, oh, the movie was so long, but you saw the theatrical, you know the extended's even longer, right?
Yeah, I don't think I saw the extended, because what was the extended one? Did it end up being like 3.5 hours?
Yeah, it was something like
Yeah,
that.
something along the
Something
lines
like close to
thereof.
4
Yes,
hours.
something close
Yeah.
to, yeah.
And then the theatrical, that was 2.5, maybe.
Me and Daniel fact check.
I'm looking up something else.
Okay, I'm looking up the Lord of the Rings. Okay, the Fellowship of the Ring, the extended edition is 3 hours and 28 minutes. The Two Towers
Wow.
extended runtime is 3 hours and 55 minutes for Two Towers, and then Return of the
That's
King
crazy.
extended is Return of the King, my number one favorite movie of all time. The extended version is a whopping 4 hours and 23 minutes long.
Yeah, dude, there's no way I can sit through that.
You can view as a mini series that's 4 1-hour episodes or 8 30-minute episodes.
See, yeah, that's probably something I would do. Yeah, it's just tough sitting there that long.
If we took the exact same movie and we split it up into 8 30-minute episodes, would you watch it more than if it was just a 4.5-hour movie?
100%, yes. And I think that's why I watch so many like YouTube videos and stuff, like shorts. They're very quick, and I can knock out a bunch, and then Daniel.
All right, so I have 2 movies I want to talk about.
Okay.
All right. The first one is a cult classic that I don't think Matt has seen, but I would be very surprised if you haven't seen it, Scott. Boondock Saints.
Never seen it.
Never seen it.
No. Oh, it's so good. It's 2 Irish brothers in New York who end up becoming what are they called? Why am I blanking? When you go out and you take the law into your own hands. What's the word for that?
Take the matters in your own hands.
Rebels?
No.
Rebels?
No. What's the name
I
of a
don't
person who
know.
takes the law into their own hand? It's illegal. You can't do it.
Oh, bounty hunter.
No. I need
I
this
feel
word. Hang on. I might. Uh,
the
uh,
tension is building.
Jeez. Why can't I just? What is the word? Maybe it's a couple of words. I don't
The
know.
suspense.
Now I'm just stalling for time. Oh, it's even Googling it isn't coming up with what I'm looking for. Oh,
So funny.
what is the name of this thing? I am blanking
Do we need
so
to like
hard.
cut out and cut back into where
We
you found the name of the
we
thing?
just might. What is it called? It's a there's a term for it. Oh, what is it called? When you
Detective?
are no, shut up, Matt. What what is it called?
Insurgent.
No, when you are a normal person and you try to like take the body of man. Why can I not think of this word or words? What is it? Oh, it's okay, I can't even think of a way to describe it. It's like when you're trying to be a cop, but you're not a cop. It's illegal. You can't do it.
Like impersonating someone?
Not quite similar. What? This is legitimately killing me. Oh.
Mercenary.
No! We have to save Daniel from this pain. Comment below if you know the word.
Vigilante! Fucking hell!
Oh, vigilante. Okay.
Holy shit, guys!
Wow.
All
And
right,
Daniel gets
so
the point for vigilante.
Vigilante.
Jeez,
I
that
Yeah.
makes
thought it
me
was
think
one
of
word.
V
I
for
believe it's two.
Vendetta. V
And
for Vendetta. You should have ran the V for Vendetta scene. I'm sure he says the
oh,
word in there at some point.
God, that hurt my head. So, anyways, it's about two brothers who basically become vigilantes, and they just start killing all these people pretty much for no reason. But it's so funny. And they made a sequel, and they were trying to make it just as funny, and it didn't hit as well, I don't think. But it's the two of them, and then their father going around killing people. Scott, you would absolutely love Boondock Saints. It is an amazing movie. Matt, maybe, maybe not. They're funny. It has references that you'd enjoy,
I
but
watched the trailer.
yeah, watch the
It's a
trailer.
comedy,
Action comedy, I
In the
guess.
action comedy.
I
Okay.
don't
the
think they were
trailers
trying
aren't
to
the
make it as
best
funny
sometimes.
as they were. I mean, literally, like the first scene is them working like again, this is Irish up in New York. They're working in a factory, and this one guy is trying to teach a newbie, a woman who just started at the factory, how to do something. He's like, the rule of thumb is this, and she's like, do you know where the rule of thumb comes from? It used to be that a man couldn't beat his wife with anything bigger around than his thumb, and he's like, well, you can't do much damage with that now, can you? And it's like, oh, that is super inappropriate. But then she just destroys him. She just starts beating the crap out of him. It's fantastic. Scott, you would love this movie. But
Okay.
wrapping around to something else, I thought this was a movie. Apparently, it's actually a mini series because I googled it. Um, it's called Gulliver's Travel. It came out in '96. Okay, it has the same guy from Cheers in it, Ted Danson,
Okay.
who played as Sam. So the main character from Cheers. Now, have you guys ever heard of the story of Gulliver's Travels?
No.
No,
Um, it- Dude goes away to get money for his family, and he ends up going through all these crazy things. He becomes a giant in the land of small people. He becomes a small person in the land of giants. He goes and stays with horses who own an island. He goes and floats on an island. He then also, there's one other thing, I'm blanking on what it is, but he goes and does all this stuff. And then when he gets back home, he tries telling everybody what his story was. And they're like, they lock him up in an institution thinking he's crazy. And then it is proven that everything he told was true, and they're like, how could all of this stuff have actually happened? It is a great series. Again, because it came out in '96, it does not have a lot of CGI or special effects. It has a lot of practical effects. So, like, to record him being a giant amongst all these small people, they had to record him, separately, and they superimposed that onto the original film. So it is fantastic. Like I said, I thought it was a movie. It's actually, this is saying it's a mini series when I found it on IMDb. All I know is that when I watched it, my mom had the two VHS, like the two cassettes, because the movie was too big to fit on one. So that's what we had to do, is we had to have two of them. And once you're done with the first one, you pop out, you stick in the next one.
yeah. Interesting. question for you guys. Do y'all remember a movie in the 90s? It may have, the first one may have come out in the late 80s or something, but I
Brave
think it was
Little Toaster.
90s. No, it was,
Land
this
Before
was the
Time.
most terrifying thing watching this as like a 10-year-old kid or younger, but it was called The Leprechaun. Do you guys remember that?
I've heard of it. I've
Oh
never
my
seen it.
gosh. Dude, it was terrifying. There were multiple ones, and it was like this basically this little leprechaun was evil and he was going around and like killing people in ways like one of them it was like someone wished for like a pot of gold and he got a pot of gold, but it just appeared in his stomach and just like
It burst out.
exploded him.
Nice.
Yeah, and then there was
Jeez.
one where there was one. This one I remember the most, and I'm sure it's one of those movies where if I went back and watched it today, it'd probably be real cheesy and corny. But as a very young kid watching it, it was terrifying. But I remember he went into a bathroom and there was like this girl was like taking a bath and he like dropped some kind of an electrical like maybe it was a hair dryer or something right in there, shocked her. Dude, I mean this leprechaun was a maniac. Dangerous. It was crazy, but I think about that, man. 20 something years later, and it was terrifying.
Oh, that
So
reminds me of Gremlins.
yes,
Gremlins
Gremlins
was
too.
it came out.
Midnight.
That was around
Yeah,
that time.
it came out around that same time. It was also a fantastic movie because like Chucky
I
also came out
liked
around that time
Gremlins.
too, didn't it?
I watched, yeah, and I watched a lot of Chucky as well. Thank you for bringing that back. Yeah, Chucky was that. I'd say that was a good movie overall, like a good franchise, whatever.
I mean,
Oh,
I love one of my favorite genres is 90s classics like Sandlot, you know?
Sandlot was a good movie. Yes,
Sandlot was fantastic. And
I
like, you
remember
know,
watching that
Jumanji,
back
the
in the
original
day.
Jumanji. Although the
Yep.
new Jumanjis are also very excellent. It's a little hard to look up release dates for the new Jumanji movie because there's Jumanji 1995, Rob Williams, one of my favorite
Right, that's
actors.
the one I
But,
yeah.
but then there's the new Jumanjis with like The Rock and you know, Jack
Kevin
Black and all
Hart.
them, Kevin Hart. And so the problem is there's Welcome to the Jungle and there's the next level, I think.
yeah.
And so I try to look up the new Jumanji movie, like when the release date is, like Jumanji 4 release date. But it's hard because like some people consider the next level as the second Jumanji movie, and some people consider the next level as the third Jumanji movie. Because when I'm trying to look up the movie, it's like some people are not considering the
The
first Jumanji
original.
movie of the numbers in the series. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what a crazy movie that original one was, huh?
Oh
Dude,
yeah,
and that
and
was
a
another
lot
one
of
that had a
practical
lot of
effects.
practical effects,
A
except
lot of
for like
practical effects.
the stampede of animals.
Mm.
That was the only part of the
Yeah.
whole movie I can think of that wasn't practical effects. Was the
Yeah.
monkeys, right?
Like even the giant plant trying to eat the kid. I mean, that was like
That was
it's a,
all
it's a
practical
practical
effects.
thing that they made.
Ooh, Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Never heard of that one.
Scott, have you heard of Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
Oh, I haven't seen it, but that rings a bell. Who was in it?
I don't know these guys' names. It was the. Have you seen Firefly?
Nope.
Okay, never mind. I was gonna say it was the pilot from Firefly. So I don't know. Oh wait, have you seen Dodgeball?
Yeah.
You know the pirate from Dodgeball?
Never seen.
Yeah.
So it's him. He's the main character with another guy who I don't know from anything else.
Okay.
But it's they go and get a vacation home, and then all of these college kids start killing themselves on their property.
Weird.
Dude, it is hilarious. It's meant to be like The Hills Have Eyes or something like that, like you know, kind of like
That was a sketchy
Deliverance.
movie.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
yeah.
trying to be like those kind of scary movies, but it's a comedy because they filmed it in the same style as those other ones, but they're just like, what's going on with all these college kids? What are they doing on our property? Okay, have you guys seen John Dies at the End?
Wait, is that
No.
a movie title?
Oh man, you guys are killing me.
I know what you're talking about though. Yeah, I have not seen
Okay,
it. It had
have we all seen Mr. Smith Goes to Washington?
That sounds familiar?
No.
It's a very old movie from like the 30s, 40s.
No,
Uh,
I've definitely not
time
seen
frame.
this.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking of Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, I think
there's
that's what
many
you're
versions
thinking
of
of.
that movie. For whatever reason, that also makes me think of Parent Trap, which also there's different versions of that movie. It's interesting to. One of my biggest complaints about entertainment, though, I will say, I feel like 90% of all of our entertainment today is we are going to remake of a reboot of something
Yeah,
versus
exactly.
making something new and original. Like Interstellar, absolutely fantastic. It's a one-off, unique idea movie. Great. I love it. But to do like Terminator 6, to just take a number and slap it on a franchise title, Transformers 5. I really am big on I don't want to see someone tell a story unless it's a story worth telling. And if it's not worth telling, you shouldn't make the movie.
I
That made me
agree.
think of Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yes,
Whenever
excellent movie.
dude, how crazy shout out Sarah Connor, by the way, she's awesome. Yeah,
She'll be in
so
the new Stranger Things the final season. No one knows who she's going to be, but she got officially like it's been announced that she's going to be in the series.
Really?
oh
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, she's gonna play a character, an adult character. They said, "Oh, we're
She
not gonna
must
have
be
any new characters this season," and then they hired her to be a new character. I know it doesn't make any sense.
weird. But dude, remember that that scene from 2 where they call he so he calls the parents and he says he tests the parents with the dog's name Wolfie. Do you remember what I'm talking about? He's in the phone booth and he calls and the parents answer, but it's not actually the parents. It was the T1000. It already killed his foster
Yeah,
parents.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's
Yeah,
Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So what about that?
yeah. How crazy of a scene was that though? So basically, like he calls and he says how's Wolfie doing? And they're like, oh, Wolfie's doing great, but that wasn't the name of the dog, so he
Yep,
knew
yep,
he knew
exactly.
that something
Yeah.
was off there. And then once he hangs up the
Now
phone,
see that. Now see that is one that you did have to do some CGI in that movie because you kind of can't do a practical effect about a liquid metal being,
yeah, no,
you know.
dude, that was
But
crazy for the
but
time. Like that
but
was
that for the
absurd.
time though, that was pretty cool to have him just
It
like turn
was.
into liquid metal and like walk through like the jail cell or whatever, and then like
Fun fact
Yeah,
rematerialize.
about
dude, it
that.
was crazy.
Oh,
But
fun fact, huh?
So you know how he is running and chases them down riding a motorcycle?
yeah,
He was outrunning the motorcycle. They had to keep telling him to slow down.
no way.
Yes. He had gone into such good shape and he had kept doing that
Arnold
running scene.
Schwarzenegger,
No, the
So
tall
what was
oh,
skinny
his
guy.
real name?
tall
T
skinny
one
guy with
T
the
one
crazy name. He
thousand.
could outrun the motorcycle.
Yeah, he kept running so fast that he was like catching up to the motorcycle and they had to keep telling him to slow down. Is this the right movie or is that the
That
third one? Hang on.
no, it's got to be the second one because the third one's like some
The
like
chick,
hot
isn't it?
chick or whatever. Yeah, it's the girl. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It must
So
have been
it,
2.
it had to be the second one because he was
Yeah.
skinny and he did look like he ran very fast.
Yeah. Yeah, he kept
Yes.
Yeah,
outrunning the
yeah,
motorcycle. He kept catching up to them and they're like, "Slow
that's
down."
funny. Oh my gosh, do y'all know the "Check the Gate" song?
Robert Patrick.
Check the gate.
Yeah, "Check the Gate." Do you know the song though and where it's from, or
I've never even
no?
heard of this. It's a film
Check the
So
term.
gate. I have no clue.
it's a film term, yes. So in the Narnia series, when they were filming Narnia: Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the kids needed something to do when they're just like sitting around the set in between shots waiting to do the next scene because they're kids and they're bored and they need to find something to do. So one of them created a song that they would sing in between takes, and it was called the "Check the Gate" song. And the song goes, "Check the gate, watch yourself. Check the gate, show them what you got. Check the gate, watch yourself. Check the gate, show them what you got." And then they would keep repeating that over and over and over again. And I kind of find that funny. Like I love all the behind the scenes stories of like what they do and like how movies are made and just like the little fun little movie factoids like that. I don't know
Interesting,
what's
and
your favorite one.
I know what song they took that from. So that's very interesting.
Wait,
What
what
song
song
did
did
they
they take
take
that
that
from?
from?
Jinx, you
It
misheard
was.
us.
It was the song was like shake. It was shake your ass, watch yourself, show me what you're working with. The guy's name was Mystical. He was a
Oh,
rapper. This was probably This was early 2000s.
Yep, because
Um,
2003-ish, 4-ish was Narnia 1, so it would be about the same time frame.
yeah, yeah, dude, that's crazy. Yeah, that was a good movie. I remember seeing that in theaters. That was a
Which
good one.
one? Which one?
The original, what was it, Lion, Witch, and the
Lion, Witch, and
Wardrobe?
Wardrobe.
Yeah, that one. That was
Yeah,
good.
that one was really good. And what I am upset about in film industry as well is I kind of mourn the incompleteness, if you will, of some of the kids to books movie series that failed, that never got finished, versus others just skyrocketed. So Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, skyrocketing level of success.
Yeah.
Percy Jackson, the first two movies sucked so bad, ended, but now we're getting the Percy Jackson back, and they are going to do the full series. I'm really happy with that. And here's Narnia in the corner, like they did the first three movies, and that's it. It's done, and I haven't heard anything about them ever going back to either reboot the series and start over from scratch, or finish the other movies, or it's just incomplete. And I just feel like, it should at least get a full, where you get all 7 movies. Yeah, I thoroughly have been enjoying everyone's movies and stuff. And yes, definitely, We Bought a Zoo, Space Between Us, and Peace, Love, Misunderstanding. Not the third one, but the first two. Real quick before we go, I know Daniel's seen We Bought a Zoo because I showed him.
Yep.
Scott, have you ever seen We Bought a Zoo or Space Between Us?
No.
Pursuit of Happiness. I got one.
Yeah,
Pursuit of Happiness.
Yes.
That is a
yeah.
fantastic inspirational movie.
Yeah, that
There
was
you go.
Will Smith
There
was
you
in that
go.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Will
yeah, I
Smith,
remember.
yeah,
I saw
Will
that
Smith
one.
is in that one. Yeah, Pursuit of Happiness. That one is a really, really fantastic movie.
Oh, now I'm thinking of iRobot, which was awesome too.
That's
That
what
was
I was just
fantastic.
thinking about too. You both each get a point. You get a point for iRobot. You get a point for Pursuit of Happiness.
How about Real Steel? Do I
nice.
get a point for Real Steel?
And Independence Day. And Independence Day. What?
Do I get a point for Real Steel?
I don't know what that is.
That's
So I
Hugh
guess
Jackman beating up robots with his fists.
Okay.
That sounds very
interesting.
Hugh Jackman,
Well,
right?
it was really close today, boys. It was 5-6. And it was 5-6. So the winner of today's game was Daniel with
Ooh.
1 point higher.
Well played, Daniel.
And Scott, you got all kinds of good points for some of the movies you mentioned. Pineapple Express, that made me laugh. And some other things you said. Daniel, you also got a lot of great movie references. Referenced VHS a lot. You had a lot of things you said as well. And I guess Daniel just had one more thing that was point worthy. Daniel is
Me too, because I forget
game,
too.
so we will give us our next topic for today. And this has
Yes.
been our podcast for movies. And since movies is such a big one, I'm sure perhaps more movie stuff will come up later. But what is your number one favorite movie of all time? Comment below as to why. And I intend you all enjoyed today's podcast on movie.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman, if you hear this, please make Real Steel 2. No prep, no problem.
Do it, Hugh.
We want
And,
you to we want you to make Real Steel 2. All right, that's it for No Prep, No Problem. Deuces.
Deuces.
Later.
Okay, now that we're technically off the air, what is your number one favorite movie of all time, Daniel?
I can't talk about it.
You
Just
still
say it.
can't talk. Wow. Okay. All right. Then never mind. Then I guess.
That's the
Just
first
say it.
rule. That's the first rule. You can't talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Oh
Nice.
my gosh!
Gosh.
Oh my gosh! You mean
How
to
did I
tell
not
me
think
even
about
though
that?
we're off the air, you should still keep. If we're still recording, you should keep this segment where we